This is Firewatch Business, and we have a special guest today, Jesse Ringer with Method and Metric, if I can say it correctly. Jesse, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Yeah, Jason, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
And as you know, this station is nothing more than for entrepreneurs, and that's what I am, and that's what we want to focus on. And what you do makes a lot of sense for entrepreneurs. So, just to give us a little brief background of you and how you got up to be an entrepreneur would be great.
Yeah. So at the root of it, I think I always knew or had a feeling at least that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Even in high school, I did a book report on how to be an entrepreneur. And so I always had a relatively independent streak. And, when I finished my schooling, it was shortly after the 2008 financial crisis, and it was quite challenging to find any, sustainable, good, employment, kind of with a good salary and everything. And so from there, I kind of found that being a consultant kind of worked out really well. I really wanted to be in advertising, doing copywriting, helping to create like print ads and visual displays and things like that. But I found with copywriting, at least, that I had clients and then bosses. If they didn't like my writing, I didn't really have much of a recourse. I didn't have anything to fall back on to argue for my case. And so with SEO, I found that with analytics, I could justify and rationalize and like demonstrate to my clients and my bosses that the work that I was doing was having an impact on their business. So from there, I kind of just fell into being an SEO consultant. And after a few years, I kind of got a good push from a friend who suggested I start an agency, and that was kind of it. I kind of pivoted from being J Ringer Consulting and then rebranded to Method and Metric, and haven't looked back ever since. And we're now 6 years into it.
And SEO is so important for every entrepreneur, and I don't know that they really realize how important it is. And one of the things that I noticed is your SEO strategy, which I don't think people understand that there should be a strategy behind your SEO. Can you give us a little bit on that?
Yeah, like with anything, with any kind of marketing, really, you should have some strategic direction that you're trying to get to. And what we talk about when we're talking about SEO strategy is, what keywords should you be ranking for? Who are you trying to reach and who you're trying to target is going to come down to the choices of the keywords, but also the content you have on your website. Because a big part of what makes an SEO strategy so effective is aligning your content and your messaging and your website experience as a whole with what people are searching for and what they're expecting to find when they get there. So when they do a search and they arrive on your website and your messaging doesn't match what they're expecting to find, they're not going to take action. And so we want to make sure that that is all aligned when somebody does a search, that they get to your website and they're able to take action in order to buy from you or sign up for your course or download your content. And we want to make sure that that is aligned from that initial search all the way down to them, doing business with you.
And that leads right into other things that you do, like the conversion rate optimization that you do for that. So once you get them through the SEO to get to where they're at your website, and then you also get them to where they understand what you're selling.
Exactly. Like we kind of, although they are often distinct services like CRO, conversion rate optimization, and SEO, we think about SEO and conversion rate optimization as the same thing, because it's all well and good to rank number one for a keyword, but if nobody clicks it and no traffic comes to it and nobody buys from you, that keyword doesn't really matter. Like you could, at the end of the day, you can't pay rent, you can't pay for your mortgage, you can't go on trips with, ranking number one for a keyword. people have to actually buy from you and help you generate revenue. So that's how we've always kind of thought about search as this tool that helps your company make more money.
Yeah, and I don't know necessarily that when you're an entrepreneur and you are starting out, and I mean you're in the weeds, right? You're just trying to get the products in your customers' hands. And I believe that outsourcing these kind of things makes a world of difference. And you go, well, I can't afford it. I really don't see how you can say that you can't afford it, because you really can't afford not to do it. You need to step up and do those kind of things. And how do you look at it like that? And what is the ROI, for lack of a better term, that SEO and that kind of stuff brings to the table?
Yeah, I mean, whether you work with an agency or a consultant, you're going to get the expertise, and you're going to get someone that cares way more about SEO than you do. Like,
Yes.
it's going to be really important, but at the end of the day, like, you're going to want to have someone that thinks about this all the time, that's considering how Google's algorithm changes are going to impact their clients or your business. They want to make sure that the way we think about Google, like, they will, I don't know, change one little thing and that'll have huge implications for our clients. And so, yeah, if you're working with a consultant or an agency, you have like a breadth of knowledge and expertise that you don't have necessarily in-house. And it'll give you tons more time to think about the things that are actually going to impact your business. And so you can be working on your business and not in your business. So yeah.
I think you're exactly right. And there's a couple of things that I think that would be at the top of my list to outsource. And one of them is the SEO and the optimization of trying to get you noticed in front of people. And as a CPA, the second thing I would get rid of, if and I do, is I don't want to do the accounting part of it. I
Oh man,
think that
absolutely. Yeah.
I think you outsource that
I
immediately.
I outsourced that as soon as I could. Yeah.
So
Agreed.
I think that's so important, because you don't need to come up with the numbers. You need to know the numbers, right?
Yeah.
You're such a method and metric is such a broad kind of place, because you're doing the SEO and you're doing that, and you're going to give a return on investment to your clients. But then you go into the KPIs, the key performance indicators, to show them how you're working it. Correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. SEO is very much performance-based marketing, and we need analytics and data in order to, help inform our decisions, but also demonstrate that the work that we're doing is having an impact on your business. If you have an SEO person working for you and they don't show you any reports, like, that should be a big red flag. Every SEO that I know cares a ton about analytics. They spend a lot of time in Google Analytics and using other third-party tools to better understand the websites and the consumer behavior around your brand and your industry. And so, yeah, absolutely. We have tons of different metrics and KPIs that we monitor and track and like report on, because all of that stuff matters a great deal to the SEO, because regardless of it, we need to be able to show the value of our work. And that means dollars in your bank account at the end of the day.
Right. And so some of the KPIs that you look at, actually, getting them converted is
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, the obvious one is looking at keyword rankings. That's like a good measure of how things are going, but also looking at how much traffic Google is generating, how much of that traffic is new versus returning, how much time are they spending on your website? What are they clicking on? What are they looking at? Are they completing your forms, or you're downloading your content, or are they actually buying from you? Those are all facets that we'll look at. We'll also kind of measure, the value of that traffic too at the end of the day. If you have a lot of people visiting your blog and we're seeing that they're not actually becoming customers, then we need to rethink your blog strategy, because that blog content could be better utilized to kind of help demonstrate your expertise, but also like should be able to help generate some new business for you as well.
Yeah, and some people, I think, entrepreneurs get in that rut of thinking, this is what I'm going to do and this is how I'm going to do it, and they never stop to look at the return on their investment of time on
Yeah.
how that's working for them.
Absolutely. Like, yeah, the amount of time that you'll lose just thinking about things. Like, I've spent way too much time looking at my books and my accounting, trying to like
Right.
figure it all out. And I'm like, I pay people for this. Like, let's get the accountant on the phone. Let's figure out why things are looking the way they are. And, and so there's certain things like that for sure where the problem doesn't seem super difficult to solve, but at the same time, it does take a lot of time, and it takes away your focus from the things that you're really good at and the things that are going to move your business forward at the end of the day.
That's a great point. That's exactly where I think more entrepreneurs need to be focused on. I understand that it costs money, but you're actually leaving dollars out on the table when you don't outsource some of these things because you just don't have time to get it done.
Yeah.
And it's taken away, just like you said, from the things that print the money for you.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely. Like, the day I got an assistant was like one of the best days I've, in hindsight, being like, oh, geez, like there was so much stuff that would bog me down, like scheduling and invoicing and following up and all those things. And, as your team grows and stuff, like having someone else there that cares about this stuff, it'll move faster, it'll be more efficient, and they'll be able to dedicate the time they need to making sure that it's a success. Because with SEO, with any kind of like contracted service, like their success is tied to your success. Like for us, if we see our websites and our clients doing really well, that's a good sign that our work is having an impact, and that's super motivating for us. And so we always want to be thinking about those facets. Like, we're not there to just kind of like go, hey, here's an audit, we'll see you later, thanks for your money, and we got to go. We try and work with our clients for like 6 months, a year at least. And we have a lot of clients that have stuck with us for 5 to 10 years already. And so we're always kind of like thinking about the long-term impact for our clients, but also, you know, being able to partake and be a tangible component of their success is a very motivational component for us.
well, absolutely. I mean, you want to see people succeed. That's why you're in
Yeah,
business is for you to help people succeed.
exactly. Yeah,
And
for
and
sure.
and and so it makes sense that if you don't do well for them, then you got to relook at it and help them. And it's really not necessarily you doing it; it's more helping you guide them to the next step or the way they need to go down the path.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we're here to offer our experience and our expertise. And, a big part of our work is like developing that trust. People need to trust us. We get a big insight into, how much revenue they're potentially generating, at least from their website. We get to see their data. We have like an intimate kind of relationship with our clients, just from the simple fact that we have access to their analytics. And so there's a big amount of trust that goes into it, and there's a good amount of expertise that we can offer, but none of that really matters if the clients don't trust us. And so it is very much like relationship based, and by that we end up being quite you know emotionally invested in the work that we do and the results that we get or don't get. Like when we aren't hitting our goals, I can speak for my team, like they definitely like take it kind of personally, and we have to revisit it and kind of remind ourselves that, yeah, like, we do have to try, and not everything goes perfectly, but we are always very much emotionally invested in the success of these projects.
So one other thing I wanted to ask you was about the way you view a service oriented versus a product oriented type of SEO strategy.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, excellent question. Cause like they are very different, right? Like if you're a service-based business, phone calls, emails, and form fills are super important. That's your currency, right? Like, and the relationship that you build with those people, your potential customers and clients, matters a great deal. Whereas something that is product-based, where we're talking about e-commerce, that is more about, do you deliver on your promise of what the product is going to do? Do they get it in a timely manner? Is there good communication between you and them, and the mailing of delivery of the product? And there's just certain aspects that are quite different. So we think about SEO from an e-commerce perspective as like, one, there needs to be some trust, obviously. Like no one wants to just buy from an internet website blindly. So you do have to prove that. And the same goes with the service side, but product side, it's like, you know, are you able to identify what they need quickly? Is it in stock? Is it what they're looking for? Do you have a reliable return or exchange policy? And can they take action quickly? Like, do you have good credit card processing? Do they feel they can trust you there? Whereas with the services, people are looking to really do business with someone that they can like, know, and trust. And like, so when it is service based, like, you know, faces and familiarity go a long way. Having that conversation and sort of how people search for both of those things are very different. Like people are likely to do, you know, more research in terms of understanding how you think on the service side of things, whereas on the product side, they're going to be looking more for reviews, price point, and time to delivery. And so they are very different strategies for sure. And yet at the same time, you know, the same things that matter are like trust, dependability, and ultimately experience from either party is going to matter a great deal.
Do you think that people, it's certainly in the service, like you said, it's more of a face-to-face kind of thing to get to the trust level. Um, how difficult is it to be a nationwide or an international type of service industry compared to e-commerce? Is it a
Yeah.
lot more difficult?
Well, when you're in a service-based industry, you're not competing against Amazon. So that's one advantage. Um, but at the same time, you know, it depends on the service, you know, like
Mhm.
we could use an example of insurance companies. Like they generally have bricks and mortar locations in the cities and the communities that they service. You know, obviously there's a shift away from that, and there's a lot of direct to consumer online insurance brands. But at the end of the day, you want to know that you're doing business with a company that is likely, you know, operating in your country, whether you're in the US or in Canada, or in Europe. Like there's some of that matters a great deal. And you know, they want to customers want to know that there is some kind of consumer protection, whether that's implied or not, when they're doing it. So when it comes to SEO, yeah, there's going to be a localized component to it, regardless of the industry you're in. Let's say you're like a software company, but at the same time, software definitely has a localization component. Companies that are based in the US tend to rank better in the US than they do in Europe. And I know for Canadian companies, like we rank really well in Canada comparatively to US companies, depending on the size. It was also harder for Canadian companies to really excel in the rankings on the US side if they don't have an office or a location in the US and don't have like a presence there. So it can be challenging. If you're looking at like going national with your brand, like start with cities, use like a really localized approach to the SEO and focus on the cities that you're in. And then you can start to branch out and go, you know, statewide or state to state or, you know, region to region. But starting small is always a safer bet, only because it gives you time to earn that trust. And like Google wants to show the best possible content. And so being able to show your worth in incremental stages will help make it a more successful campaign as you go national or international too.
Yeah, I had a client once that was a restaurant, and they wanted to grow their brand and franchise it out. And I live in the South in the United
Mhm.
States, and college football is huge. And
No,
so,
really?
and so, you know, and one of the things I advised them to do was to start small. They were in Tuscaloosa at the University of Alabama. And,
Okay.
you know, the next step would be to go to another SEC town, right? Not Nashville, but Athens
Mhm.
or Starkville or one of those. And they chose not to do that. But um, I think you're right. You start out where you know you can go to be small and grow it there and build that trust as you grow. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then it blows up.
Yeah. It like it's a we always preach this for our clients are like in the small, medium-sized business stage, being like, it's okay to be a big fish in a small pond in this case. Like if you can get a lot of traffic, like because we think about keywords, like if you want to rank for the term, we'll go like, I don't know, restaurants in Alabama, like you're gonna have a very hard time competing, right? And so you have to, especially if you only have one location. And so you have to kind of think about scaling in that kind of, yeah, laddered approach so that you can, be really good at these keywords so that you can go for more competitive ones. And then ultimately, like you'll be competing against like the McDonald's and the Wendy's and all that kind of stuff. So you got to start small and like earn your way to the top.
And what's so fun is that it's very important. SEO is so very important because even if you are in the restaurant business, they're still searching for you online. Period.
Oh yeah,
Everybody is.
absolutely. Yeah. I can't think of a single industry that wouldn't benefit from it. Because word of mouth is still huge, right? Like will trust our friends and our colleagues and our family with recommendations, but you're also going to do a search for them. You want to make sure that they are as reputable as they say, and you're going to eventually need to find their website to contact them as well. And so there's certain facets like that where, yeah, for sure, maybe your website isn't your driving force, but if you don't have a website and you're not engaging in some form of digital marketing, whether that's SEO or social media or any of that, you're going to have a really hard time growing because word of mouth is so unpredictable, and it can be a great revenue driver, but again, it's inconsistent. And so with SEO, at least, it's always on, and you never know when people are going to be searching for your products and services.
So true. Well, I know you're busy, and I appreciate it. And how cold is it in Canada right now? You're
Right
in
now,
Ontario,
we're in Vancouver, so just
Vancouver.
north of Seattle. So it's damp, but not cold. It's above freezing right now, so it's pretty seasonably nice.
Yeah,
We just got a lot of rain right now, so
yeah.
it's not too bad.
We're in the
Yeah.
60s, so it is cold.
Oh man,
Fahrenheit,
we're like,
60s in Fahrenheit. It's cold.
yeah. We're probably like I think 40, 42 right now. So
So,
yeah.
we're going to wrap this up. I know you got to go. What is some great advice you can give them? And then also, you have something for us that you wanted to cover.
Yeah, my one piece of advice, especially when it's going with SEO, um, one, be patient with it, and understand that it does take 3 to 6 months to really see the impact of your work, but also to remind yourself that you can stay the course because it will have compounding effect on your website traffic, but ultimately on your business too. And I think that that's something that people kind of forget in the digital age of like being able to switch tactics really quickly and change directions. But if you can align on your SEO for some time, you'll be able to really see the impact and value of it for your business. And with that said, we offer anyone a free competitor SEO audit. So we'll take a look at your website and your competitors and see how you stack up compared to them within like the organic Google kind of landscape. So yeah, we'll have a link for you to join, but it's methodometric.com /services /SEO competitive analysis.
Yeah.
But yeah, you come get a free audit and see how your website's doing in terms of traffic and everything.
Excellent. Jesse, I appreciate your time, man, and everything. And the best of luck to you, brother.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks for the chat. It was super great.
Thank
Thanks.
you, man.